If you have not heard, an 8-woman marketing team concocted a rebrand of Cracker Barrel, the legendary breakfast spot, and it did not go over well. And it opened Cracker Barrel up for an investigation where people started looking into like, what all they got going on here? Well, why are they rebranding Cracker Barrel? Cracker Barrel was fine. Why are we removing the old Southern white man from the corner of this and coming with some very sterile logo for Cracker Barrel? And the next thing you know, people started look at all these DEI policies they have. Look at all this LGBTQ stuff they had. And the next thing you know, Cracker Barrel, its stock is plummeting. People are starting to boycott it the way people boycotted Target. This was a disaster put on by this 8-woman marketing team. And I want to make the connection, and I'm going to make the connection in the argument that diversity as this in-game goal, diversity as the ultimate destination, what it really is, it's a rebuke of competition. And buckle up, some of you will get mad at me. Maybe my traditional audience will understand what I'm saying, but what happened at Cracker Barrel and what's happening in American culture and what's happening with this whole feminist movement, women don't want to compete with men. They're insecure. They know they're the weaker vessel. And so they've made diversity the ultimate goal rather than excellence. That's what this is all about. And so they look at everything. They look at the logo and the branding and everything from the past when it was a competition among men and women were helpmeets for men and played just quite honestly, a secondary role as it relates to leadership and accomplishment and competition. They look at anything like that from the past as that's bad, that's evil, that must be eradicated, that must be erased. And so they get triggered. They see, why is an old white man the logo for Cracker Barrel? Let's remove him. And they're doing this throughout all of American society, eliminating male leadership because they have convinced everybody that diversity is the goal. And that anytime you see diversity, well, that diversity is excellence. Diversity is what we all should be striving for. And what we all should be striving for is excellence. We should all be striving for holiness. We should all be striving for the best that we can be and the best that America can be. And the feminist movement wants no parts of that because they don't want to compete against men. Let me go the extra layer. We keep it real on this show. When you hear minorities, black people, whomever, when you hear the LGBTQ doesn't want to compete against heterosexuals. They want a leg up. And so, hey, I take it up the rear. That makes me more valuable than those of you that are heterosexual. They don't want to compete. There's a segment, seemingly a large segment of the black population in America that does not want to compete. And so they want diversity to be the goal. They want things to look right, even if they don't run right. Again, that's why, hey, Brandon Johnson, we have a black mayor. Our city is crumbling. There's total chaos. Crime is everywhere, but he's black. And so that's good. They don't care whether Chicago runs properly. They just want it to look good on the outside. It is damaging and hurting all of us. I will make one other point here, and I'm going to personalize this, and I hope that I don't distract from the point that I'm making, and people get upset. Why is Whitlock talking about himself? But I have a real life example of what black and feminism combined, how it just seeks to destroy anything and everything in its wake. And so I'm going to tell a personal story here. Hold for 1 second. So years ago, and some of you remember 2013, 2014, I'm hired at ESPN to launch a website intended to cover sports and cover cultural issues with black journalists and be an affinity site, a basically, and I said this, and people for some reason, Bill Simmons and his groupies or people just out to destroy me. And I like Bill Simmons. I'm not saying he was out to destroy me, but his groupies and just use it. And I said, like, Bill Simmons at ESPN had this thing called Grantland, and ESPN was going, hey, we're going to do a black version of Grantland. Jason Whitlock, you're going to lead it. You're the best, they said probably best black sports journalist in America. I would just say the best, but, we won't argue the details. But so I come up with the name for this affinity site, and it's a brilliant name. We worked really hard. Me and a guy named Jesse Washington and a guy named Mike Wise. We chopped this up for months trying to figure out a name. A couple other people, John Hanson or my team. But finally, I figured it out. I didn't get any, I got assist in terms of brainstorming, but I figured it out. I was like, how can I come up with a name that connects us to sports that also honors and reverences black people? And so I come up with the name The Undefeated. And it's taken from a Maya Angelou quote. The Maya Angelou, the great writer, poet, whatever. She's had this saying about, just because you've suffered defeats doesn't mean you've been defeated. It's a famous Maya Angelou quote, and it was the name was honoring her. We're undefeated, and it was honoring and it was referencing the Miami Dolphins and being undefeated in sports. It's a perfect name. No one denies that. Eventually, after they ran me out, after they went through the motions of a couple, 2 or 3 years of Kevin Merida running the site, eventually they handed the editor's job to a black woman. She does a rebrand. Her and her minions decide, hey, we got to rebrand this away from Jason Whitlock and what men did. And they called the thing, and they still call the thing, Anscape. They have a website on ESPN called Anscaped. Everyone thinks it's like, that's a typo. This is a landscaping company. But this is the stupidity of feminism. This is the anger of feminism. This is the anger of black feminism entitlement and the demonization of everything men do, particularly if that man isn't a leftist, particularly if they suspect, like the guy, the Cracker Barrel logo, hey man, that looks like a good old Southern boy that probably voted for Trump. He must be eliminated. Jason Whitlock, he doesn't hate Trump enough. He's not liberal enough. We must get away from anything he did. He's horrible. He's bad. And we must put a feminine stamp on this. And so they took something wonderful and beautiful and a gift, and they turned it into a landscaping company. And the site hasn't done anything of any relevance for the last 7, 8, 9, 10 years. And I'm sorry if that upsets people. That's not me being petty. That's not me trying to diminish the people there that are trying to do some level of work, but the place sucks. And everybody knows it. But everybody pretends like it doesn't suck. and that nothing has gone on here, and these black women have led the landscape to greatness. They seek to destroy because they don't want to compete. And at some point, regardless of skin color, regardless of whatever victimhood status people have signed up for, the people that don't want to compete need to be pushed to the side and pushed out of the way so that those of us that want to compete, those of us that want to take risk, those of us that don't want to build everything, because what they did, what these women did that run Cracker Barrel, what they decided is like, hey, what can we do that is 1,000% inoffensive to everybody? And so they make it sterile and meaningless. There's no character to it. There's no defining characteristics to it. There's nothing. There's just some block letters. Because we got a victim class and people that are spend every moment of their lives looking to be offended. They're like, oh man, they see the Cracker Barrel logo and they see that looks like an old Southern white man. I could be offended by that. That reminds me of slavery. That reminds me of Jim Crow. These people, these are delusional. We're building a world for delusional, feminized nut jobs. Women are doing this because they spend every moment trying not to be offended. Don't miss a second of Fearless. Hit that like button and subscribe to keep up with our latest content.